everyone, and welcome to Marvel Talk. I am Ed Fries, and I'm joined by the one and only, the Time Slipper himself, Andre C. How you doing today, Andre?
I am doing absolutely great and shitty at the same time. Great because I get to watch the screen.
Let's just be
I'm
honest.
very tired, but it's made for a very long day. But I am very happy to be here to talk about this absolutely wonderful episode of Loki. I had such a great time watching this
episode of Loki.
I had such a wonderful time watching this one. I thought it just a great little. It's a story that almost doesn't need to be there, but it was just a great story to tell.
I agree.
Yeah,
I'll call it this. It's one of the best filler episodes of television I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch episode 4 and then you watch the recap in episode 6 without caring about the little details, I don't think you're going to care if you missed episode 5.
Unless you want to see the little things.
I agree. If you don't care about the little details, you can skip it.
Yeah, I do agree with that, but I found it just a charming episode.
I did too. I love this.
I love it.
I think it's the epitome of filler.
Oh, 100% it's filler. But sometimes, and if you look at Marvel, episode 5, a lot of the time is filler. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yes. No, I agree.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of non-spoilery stuff we can really say about this episode because while it was filler, it all kind of spoils itself if we start talking about it.
Well, yeah, because again, literally from the hop, we get its story. It starts telling its story.
I would call this, if I were to rename this episode, it would be Spaghetti.
Yes, me too. But we have our first guest in the first person on this show. Welcome, Astrid.
Well, we do have Astrid here. Thank you for joining us, Astrid. We know you've had a long day. We appreciate you being here. And remember that you can go ahead and check out Astrid's Twitter page. You can go ahead and see that she's got merch now. She's got some great merch on there. So go ahead and check that out with a great brand for your brand. Fantastic people do a lot of good work. So definitely go ahead and check them out. But we're here to talk about Marvel. And we're going to start with when Loki comes back and we see him in the empty room all by himself. Timeline's fixed. We can all go home, everybody. Look, if you look closely, it's fixed. All the branch timelines in the back, closer to where my camera side normally is, and then where it meets Loki in the middle, and where it goes beyond that, it's all intertwining like the sacred timeline's supposed to.
Again, this is pure foreshadowing right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but everything's fixed. It's okay. We can all go home.
Yeah, pretty much.
Loki, thinking about that, decides to go ahead and as she says, after to say it's for your wear. Yep. Yeah. For your wear, not for your brand. I do apologize. Loki starts traveling the empty TVA, and we start hearing a familiar voice with an unfamiliar character sound. For those that didn't know, the lady's voice that was sitting here talking about failsafe and error code 1229 is Tara Strong. Mm-hmm. Same voice that plays Miss Minutes in a completely different voice.
It's just her voice.
Yeah, it's just Tara. Voice.
Yeah, it's great. I was listening and I'm like, I think that's Tara.
It was.
Like in my brain, I'm like, I think that's Tara.
Loki goes ahead and sees himself reading the TVA handbook, tries to say hello to himself, but is immediately time slipped. To himself, walking into an empty room to pick up the TVA handbook to hear himself say hello to himself before he time slips into the. Oh my God! At that point, I was like, oh my God, is it going to be one of those episodes? Because I was worried at that point.
Yeah, I was like, oh, please. Like, it was kind of like, oh, we're going back to episode 1 here. It is. And again, not that episode 1 was bad. I actually really, like I said, this season has been a real big plus for me compared to last season, where that season was very up and down for me. I really enjoyed episode 1, but I didn't want to see the same style of slipping that we saw in that first episode.
And we thankfully didn't, because after he picks up the book and sees himself time slip away, he goes ahead and walks over and looks at the computer, and everything starts going spaghetti.
Oh, God. Making me hungry, bro.
So much spaghetti. But I caught something interesting on the computer screen, and I'm sure most people caught it, but for me, it's something I wanted to make sure I mentioned. The timeline's in failsafe mode, and everything's splitting away. After the failsafe mode, there's a quick second of Miss Minute saying "Thank you for your service" before the entire the screen cracks, and we go to the Loki theme, and the Loki theme is on a ticking clock. I don't know if you caught that this time.
Yeah, it was
It was a slightly different version of the theme. It was a ticking clock, but the really, really fun part is that at the end of the Loki, like where the letters are all popping up and stuff, the letters started disappearing. Yeah. Until only the O was left. And then they all appeared again before we went back to the episode.
Yeah, I loved it. I was like, oh, just gave us a little bit of different.
Speaking of, we're going to switch to spoilers.
Yeah, just a
And
little bit
spoiled
of
the first. We've only literally spoiled up to the Loki
first minute.
so
Yeah.
nothing's really happened yet.
Mm.
However, now we get the filler portion of this episode.
Yeah,
Great filler, but filler nonetheless.
you get to learn some stuff about these characters, which is nice. About
It's something we've all wanted to learn, and Marvel's gone ahead and put an end to discussions. Sorry, Eric Voss, they've put an end to your theory.
Yeah,
And
I'm very okay with that theory not being true.
We go ahead and start seeing everybody in the lives they were before they were pruned. We start in 1962 in San Francisco, California, in Alcatraz, where our boy Casey.
Who's Casey?
This was Frank. For those that
Frank,
don't
yeah.
know, Escape from Alcatraz, the movie with Clint Eastwood, is a retelling of a real life story about 3 inmates who broke out of Alcatraz. One of those inmates was Frank.
So they're saying Casey is Frank.
Yes, he is. I believe it's Frank Morris. I believe is the name of the character.
Yeah, I just pulled him. I did honestly never made that connection because I don't think I've seen that movie. I'll be honest. I don't.
The entire escape is exactly how it was done in the movie. It's literally, it's like a half bit by bit little just cheap copy of the Clint Eastwood movie, Escape from Alcatraz. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Clint Eastwood's great in it.
I didn't know that's what it was, but I love when they make those little connections.
Yeah. So he knows absolutely nothing about what's going on. He has no idea what's going on. His other 2 friends are Clarence and John. Clarence Anglin and John Anglin, 2 brothers who actually escaped Alcatraz in 1962. They're one of few because as those of you who might not know, Alcatraz is
an island,
a small trash island on the coast of San Francisco, California. It's far enough away that it's not easy to get off of. Should you be able to get out of the prison, you then still have to go a couple of miles, I feel like, to the water's edge, to the land.
Many that have escaped the prison itself have drowned at sea.
Yep.
Yeah.
Does not often happen that people do get away.
Yeah.
But Casey has no idea who he is because he's Frank and he's never been pulled in by the TVA up until yet. But now we know why he gets pruned.
Yeah.
Because also the other thing I'm going to say, from here on out, everything we go through is on a branched timeline. None of these timelines are the sacred timeline because these are all the pruned variants that we're meeting that eventually become the TVA agents. Ironically, it's leading to a very big question that we'll address at the end of the episode about that.
Yeah.
But let's start here. So another cute thing that I saw about this that I wanted to bring up, because I think you probably will have noticed it too. When Casey and his friends are trying to get away, he says to Loki, "Be quiet, or if they catch us, they're gonna gut us like a fish." Which is the same threat that Loki used on Casey in episode 1 of season 1 of Loki.
I didn't realize that.
Yep. He specifically uses the phrase "gut us like a fish."
Nice.
Which
nice.
is the exact phrase that Loki used. I'm going to gut you like a fish.
I love it. I love that.
Little callbacks are fantastic. We adore them, especially here.
Oh, yeah.
Ashley says, watching you guys on TV again with the little ones. Yay! Hello, Alana.
Hello, Astrid family.
I forget the other one. I know it's Alana, and then I want to say it's Ariana, but I don't think that's right. I know it's another A, though. Almost certain it's another A.
The Pizarro family in the house.
Yes. We then see Loki time slip between a couple different places. Piranha Power Sports being one. Sylvie's McDonald's being another. And then for a brief moment before he ends up going again, we end up seeing him in Time Theater 25. For those that don't remember, this is the exact same room that him and Mobius were in episode 1 of season 1 of Loki.
Mm-hmm.
If you look closely at the back wall, it is Time Theater 25, the exact same room.
I love that little note. I'm like, it took me a second. I had to pause it and think about it. But then I was like, I wasn't 100% sure until now. But I was like, is this where he was interrogated in the first season? Is what I was or was talked to, I guess. Yeah. But I was like, yeah.
We then get B-15, or should I say, paging Dr. Willis. And she's a pediatrician who's putting a cast on a young girl who fell out of a tree and broke her arm, as most of us have done in our childhood.
Yeah, I didn't break my arm, but I got broke other things for other reasons. But
so we see B-15 as a nurse in New York City in 2012.
Okay, so my main question is this before or after the Battle of New York? That is my main question. That's a really
good question.
Because, like, is she reacting like she's looking when she sees him because it's Loki? Or is she just reacting because it's just some random dude doing this?
Yeah. I would love to know the answer to that myself. They don't give us a date. Well, I was right. It is Alana and Ariana. Aha! After said she also knew that the Time Theater looked familiar. Yeah. Yep, but New York 2012 is the time frame where the Battle of New York took place. Whether or not this is before or after, I want to say it's after. Yeah, I think it's after because she's confused, but she's not like you can see. I pulled it from her reaction after Loki time slips. She's confused, but she's not quite what the F just happened.
She's like, why was Loki here? Like, it was that reaction of like, what the fuck?
Even if she didn't recognize it as Loki, it didn't seem like an alien thing like that surprised her enough.
Yeah.
For her to have never seen anything, which leads me to believe that it's probably after the Battle of New York.
Very possible, yes.
We then get the most requested, most important, the thing that as soon as I saw it, I posted it in the chat. It finally happened. Mobius on a jet ski.
It was so good. And the initial shot is him shooting on. It looks like the wind's blowing by him and he's like riding the jet ski. And then it shows that he's in a fake area with a fan. Oh, it was just so. It's not even Mobius. It's Dawn, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dawn.
We get the official name, Dawn. He is Dawn in the real world. He's trying to sell jet skis in Columbus, Ohio. That's nowhere near Oklahoma. And it's 2022.
Such a weird place to be selling jet skis to.
Yep. When Loki shows up and tries to convince him that the TVA is gone, he goes, no, we've got a couple ATVs. They're in the back. We just got them in the other day.
That's so good.
Fantastic. Just absolutely great. So we now have confirmation about who he was. We're going to get more information, and I'm going to break down some things that I saw. Again, I'm stealing from videos that I've seen between Emergency Awesome, between Always Everything, heavy spoilers. I have not yet watched, but the Eric Voss breakdown as well from New Rockstars. I'm stealing a lot of things from a lot of those things. Mm-hmm. We also get to the next step, where we see a man who's an author in any timeline.
Oh, and okay, so before we move on, the dude in front when he comes in,
that comes later. That hasn't happened yet. The first time he appears just in front of the building as normal. It's the second time that he goes there that we do the wibbly wobbly stuff.
Oh, because that's where I wrote it down. Was right after that.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. It is in this section.
This is where I wrote it down in my notes. But it was just cool to see him come slipping in, and
because this is the second time. Yeah,
like the inflatable,
like the Bailey buddy behind him. Yes,
it was so good. It was so good.
We then get OB, or should we call him Pasadena, California's AD Doug?
Yeah, I didn't understand the AD part, but
Adam Doug. It's back to Hitchhikers. It's Douglas Adams.
Oh,
it's the reverse. It's Douglas Adams. It's AD. AD Doug is Douglas Adams. Another
How
reference.
did I not?
Yep.
I hate myself. I thought it was like alternate dimension Doug is what the reference is. Because I'm watching it, and I'm watching it with the closed caption on it. It says AD Doug. So I'm thinking, okay, alternate dimension Doug is what I read that as.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about it and trying to figure out exactly how it worked, and I was like, wait a minute.
God damn it.
He's a writer, science fiction writer, and they love to bring out that. I think it's AD for Douglas Adams. It's reversed. Adam Douglas Doug. I don't even know what Douglas Adams' middle initial is, but if it's another D, I can guarantee it. But that's my theory, is that he's supposed to be a Douglas Adams type. Again, it's just a little nod. It has no bearing on the episode in one way or another.
His middle name is Noel.
I just think it's the initials to go be like OB.
Yeah, OB is just so. Even in this, he's just as wonderful as always. Yeah,
I agree.
Ash is right, man. He's just a charm factory. KQ Han is such. I'm so happy he's got this resurgence.
Yeah. And hello, Bobby Stats, Bobby Pacino. Thank you for joining.
Bobby, my boy, how you doing, sir?
Make sure, Mr. Bobby, that you stay tuned after we're done, because when Andre unfills his seat, Parrish is going to jump right in, and we're going to go ahead.
This chair exactly.
The whole background and everything might be the same, or it might be an alternate timeline. We don't know.
Could be. It could be a branch timeline.
But you know what? Well, we're going to take a break for just a second to go ahead and say that if you're sleepy like Andre is, and you don't get to have a nap like Andre got to have before this episode, go ahead and go to Rogue Energy. You can go ahead and use their app. You can go ahead and just go to rogueenergy.com. Scan the QR code right below Andre. And you can use the promo code OLEPODS to get 10% off your order. Better yet, if you're in the United States, I know I'm supposed to be promoting the OLEPODS code, but if you like your energy drinks in a can, I just got a message earlier today on my mobile app that the cans right now are half price. So if you want half price energy drink cans, go to rogueenergy.com and use the promo code CANS50 to get 50% off your order of cans.
Damn,
again, go to Rogue Energy. It's a fantastic deal. It's a nice, healthier version of your favorite energy drinks. They have all kinds of fantastic flavors. So definitely go check it out. We appreciate you guys using our code if you're buying anything else. Again, only use the other code if you're going to buy cans. If you're going to buy anything else, use our promo code OLEPODS to save yourself 10% off. But you know me, I'm not going to sit here and try to steal from you when I can give you 40% more off if you're only getting cans. You do it that way.
Yeah. And I got 2 packs I got 2 slip packets for Mel sitting in my room. I've got a pina colada and a black cherry. Still got to try them. I've had a bunch of different flavors. Blood orange, blue raspberry are absolutely tremendous.
My favorite is the sour watermelon.
Sour watermelon. Well, yeah. I had the sour candy one.
Yeah.
One of the ones I had was absolutely delicious. Highly recommend that.
So we have OB sitting here. We find out that OB is trying to buy a book from a bookstore, and the book's not scanning into their system. Why? Because it's OB's self-published science fiction novel, The Zartan Contingent.
Oh God!
Which is fantastic. We've seen this book in the slides at the end of the episode in the credits. We've seen this book before. We now know who AD Doug is. It is OB himself. And unfortunately, Zartan Contingent doesn't refer to what I was hoping it was, which is the G.I. Joe villain Zartan, because he's the bomb. But no, it apparently in the comics, and again, thank you to everybody else for doing research for me, the Zartans with an X as opposed to a Z were created by the Celestials, the same Celestials who created the Eternals. And they have the power to change the shape of their bodies to look like anybody that they want. However, unlike the Skrulls, they have the natural ability to use any superpowers that of whom they turn into. So they're essentially super Skrulls, but they don't need to be infused with power. If they take on the image of somebody with powers, they instantly have that power set.
It seems like just almost. Again, this is just me from a perspective. That just almost seems like a. It seems like the character a kid remember when you were a child and you were playing superheroes and each like everybody's picking superpowers or pretending to be a superhero. That's the superhero the one cheap kid did so he could be like more powerful than everybody else.
Yeah, it's an interesting, weird one that just like I can have everybody's power. No, but like I said, that's just the book.
Yeah.
We get further into it and we find out that OB is not only an author, that's his dream job. That's a job he wants to have. Sadly, on the other side, he has to have a job at Caltech as a physicist, as a side job, because he has to have a job because his wife wants him to make money.
It's so funny, just like that he has to have a job. So I have to be a physicist. I have to have a PhD. I have to be a genius.
By the way, not only is he a physicist, in my favorite thing, he's at Caltech being a theoretical physicist, which made me instantly think of Big Bang Theory.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Because it's Pasadena, California. It's Caltech.
But it's 1994.
It is 1994, unfortunately, yes.
Yeah.
But I just think it's funny.
I as soon as I saw this Pasadena, I'm like, oh, okay. And then when he said he's a theoretical physicist, I'm like, he's fucking Sheldon. That's all
he's
I thought.
Better version of Sheldon.
Yeah, but no, by alumni. But I'm like, he's fucking Sheldon. That's all I could think.
And it's fun here because they go back and forth, and he believes Loki. Of all of them, he's the first to believe Loki that all of this is possible. Why? Because he's a science fiction writer. Here's a key I'm going to throw out there. The book that he's talking about, that he thinks Loki is a character from, is The Sons of Yoren. A man who has two sons, like Odin has with Loki and Thor. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, but he actually has more than that. But
he doesn't have sons, more sons. The only two sons he has is Loki.
Well, the one from the
Balder the Brave is not a child of his.
Yeah, not in Marvel, but in
the lore in Norse mythology he is, but
in the comic books he's a son of Odin. But just not they omitted him in the MCU.
For good reason. He was going to be played by Daniel Craig. Come on.
Daniel Craig was supposed to play him. Daniel Craig was supposed to play him in the Doctor Strange movie in the alternate timeline. That's where he was supposed to play him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It was the first time Marvel had even considered using him. So he goes ahead and agrees that if he had the knowledge, he could very easily create a tempad so that Loki could help do all of this because he can't control his time slipping. But OB thinks he could if he tried hard enough. And they don't know if it's a science problem or a fiction problem. What's the name of the episode? Science/fiction.
The way he's saying, he goes, it's not possible. Maybe it might be possible. And the way he says it, it's so. I love him so much because
Loki is so confused. He's like,
oh, dude.
But it's true because of the fact that Loki's already doing something impossible. It makes anything impossible more probable because he's already doing the impossible. So it would make sense that he could do other impossible things. Also, I bring up this photo. Andre, do you notice anything in this photo?
Yeah, it's the fucking loom in the sacred timeline right behind him.
It's not necessarily is it the loom. This is OB's office.
I know, but in the back it looks like the branch timelines going into the loom.
Okay, I was thinking it's all the you know how he has like the the you know when you go to the bank and you press the button, the little tube takes the money to the bank, the slips to the bank.
I'm pretty sure that might be what it is. But
Yeah.
to me, when I look at it, I see the branch timelines going into the loom.
I just love how in every world his office looks the same.
Oh, that is absolute perfection, by the way.
Great.
Yeah.
By the way, great job on the Marvel set team to just throw something stupid like that in that all of us nerds are going to notice right away.
That really, it means nothing in the end. It's just a happy little coincidence in the background.
The same thing as in Moon Knight when they have the pristine white shut up. When they have the pristine white office of Ethan Hawke's character, it's the exact same room as when they're trapped in the den of the cult.
Yeah.
And they get trapped in that room and he gets pushed out the window. It's the exact same room. It's just different color set. But it's the exact same place. And I love when they do stupid stuff like that.
Oh, it's great.
Makes my little nerd heart go great. But
I love it.
Loki finds the TVA guidebook in his pocket from earlier when he picked it up after reading it earlier on in the episode. And he hands it to him and he goes, if you have this, could you make TemPad? And he goes, well, maybe, probably. And then Loki time slips away. And he ends up having a chat with Mobius. Or should I say Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the similarities to Thor and Loki continue. Where he has a mischievous son who's burning things and just causing trouble no matter what happens. And he has another son who's older, who's a little bit wiser, and who wants a snake. Do you remember the story that Thor tells?
Yeah,
about
Thor
Loki pretending to be a snake?
And bit him, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Mobius's kids are just like Thor and Loki. Just saying.
And then when they start talking is where the spot about when they're talking about the sea-doos he has in the garage.
Yeah.
And he's the form and function line that literally he had said earlier on that he had said in season 1 about a sea-doo. I was like, yes! Great callback.
This episode was full again. It's all stupid filler.
Oh, really?
It's the greatest stupid filler ever created.
But it's the kind of filler that helps us because of what Loki accomplishes in the episode will play into what's because I'm pretty sure he's going to be using it over and over and over again in that final episode.
I agree. I just when I say filler, I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad thing.
It's a good filler.
This episode does very little in terms of the A story of fixing the sacred timeline.
This is all about the background. This is all about the history of these characters. That is what this is.
This is Marvel telling us they haven't forgotten how to tell a good story and giving us all the backgrounds that we've wanted because we wanted all of this in season 1, but we knew we couldn't get it because it's only 6 episodes. So these are all the little bits and details that everybody wants to see and wants to have because it's great. And by the way, it's fantastic. Him and Mobius talking about the form and function. And then OB showing up and he's like, you're sure you're my friend? He's like, yes, I am. And they walk through and he shows Mobius the scene they just had with Mobius standing in his driveway trying to sell Loki the jet skis. And he's seeing it with his own eyes. And now he believes because he's seeing it. But he doesn't believe that Loki might be a friend or villain. He's still worried about that. And I love how Obi's still tinkering with the temp pad. By the way, Obi has this great line where he says he spent 18 months building the temp pad. 19 if you count the month he spent having to move out of his house because his wife left him and he lost his jobs because he was building Loki's temp pad.
Oh, so good.
Just like Obi to completely forget about anything and everything other than the one thing he's doing.
Doug is just
Doug.
This is AD. This is Doug, man.
He's OB in every timeline.
Oh man.
We then go ahead and they all start going, and he goes and he starts picking everybody up.
He was having his Sam Jackson Avengers moment.
Yep.
He was forming his Avengers.
Yeah, he goes ahead and he goes back and gets Dr. Willis. He gets Frank, and he brings them all to OB shop.
I was almost a little disappointed he didn't get Brad.
Well, we get a Brad thing in here in just a few minutes, so we'll wait for that.
Yeah.
But they say, "Is this everybody?" And he goes, "No, not everybody." And we see Sylvie outside of her McDonald's, and she goes to unlock the door to her truck, and her food spaghetti's away. Oh, poor Sylvie.
Mixed spaghetti, which actually existed.
It did. It did not exist in the United States. It exists in other places. It was very bad, and it never made the menu in the United States because it was awful. Anyways, Loki then shows up, and he's so happy when she understands who he is. She's like, "Why wouldn't I?" He's like, "Well, nobody else did." He's like, "Exactly, because they're all back to where they're supposed to be. I'm still not where I'm supposed to be because I'm on my branched timeline."
Mixed spaghetti existed in the United States, by the way.
Did it
exist
really?
in the United States. Oh, yeah, I just looked it up. It was discontinued in 1980, except for Orlando, Florida, and the Philippines.
Of course, Astrid would have it in Orlando, Florida.
Oh, I don't think she has it anymore, but yeah.
Of course, they would have it in Orlando. Those people in Orlando with their food.
Those Floridians.
Yes, the Floridians.
Those Floridians.
Where you know a story is going to be crazy when it starts with a Florida man or a Florida woman was found. I know a great story is coming when I hear a Florida.
Yeah, anything with Florida in it, yeah.
So Loki starts time slipping in front of Sylvie, and she's like, "Get in the truck. I'm getting you a drink." And they go to a bar, and the bar has a Zaniac arcade machine. Our boy Brad was so big in his Zaniac movie that he got himself a video game.
Mm-hmm.
He's still an asshole.
Oh yeah, but like I love him so much. Well, because I hate him so much. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And
then we have this amazing discussion between Sylvie and Loki, where Loki's trying to convince her to come back, and she's like, "No." And he's like, "But we have to free these people from their timelines." And she's like, "No, we've been working all this time to get them to the point where they can go back to their lives on the sacred timeline." She's like, "You've done what you need to do. They need to stay on their sacred place in this on the timeline. You're being selfish if you don't let them do it."
Yes. I think she was asking what we were talking about. Mixed spaghetti.
Yeah, there was McDonald's. McDonald's for a very short time had a spaghetti meal.
Yeah, in the 70s.
Part of the menu. I did not realize it was in the United States, but it does make sense that Florida would have been one of the last places to get rid of it.
But no, I also have some issue because like you had Mobius saying that's what he wanted. He wanted to be. He didn't want to be on the timeline. The man that they had taught, the man that Loki became a brother with.
Mm-hmm.
Like became his brother, became his family, but you know what I mean, became his friend. Didn't that version of Mobius didn't want to be on a timeline. So like the argument I had about her last week. I still don't agree with her. Her argument does make more sense here, but it's still not perfect. Oh my God.
We've got Astrid, we've got Mel Ball, we've got our tag team partners on Andre and Mel Ball for you, on taking over for me. And the ladies have their own show every week. You can go ahead and catch them most weeks, if they have the show, on Ladies Wrestling Showcase. Unfortunately, this week was derailed a little bit, but I'm sure we'll have a Ladies Wrestling Showcase soon, as they need to talk about the Ladies Pro Wrestling 500. They need to go ahead and talk about the crazy week that was in women's media this week, in wrestling media. But go ahead and catch them.
It's supposed to be a show tomorrow.
There may very well be a show tomorrow. We will find out soon. But thank you for joining us, Mel. No, you know what? I still agree with Sylvie, because this version of Mobius isn't Mobius. This is Dawn. Dawn has two kids to take care of, And Dawn doesn't know about the TVA. So you
I
don't
agree.
tell him about the TVA, and you leave him where he is. The same with Casey and Frank, and the same with Dr. Willis and B-15.
I don't disagree with what she's saying, but now the Mobius that didn't want to be part of the timeline is lost in the ether.
Yeah.
Like you get what I mean. Like I was so you know how against it I was last week.
Okay.
I'm not as against her anymore because I understand, because she's talking about these people that live on their branch timelines. I have no argument on that. These people need to be left alone. But remember, Mobius didn't have a choice. He was forced to stop being Mobius.
Well, and that's the thing. Was he forced? Or is this when all of them are pruned and taken as variants? Is this the catalyst event? Does Loki form the TVA? Is this the official formation of the TVA here, right now, with these variants, with Dawn, with AD, with Doc Willis, and with Frank? These are the variants that start the TVA.
And
these are the first 4 variants that begin the TVA the way we know it. This is where it all starts.
And that's who, and these are the people that He Who Remains eventually wipes the memories of and things like that. Yeah.
Protocol 42.
Oh yeah. And again, but I also look at it from the Mobius who was existing prior to the explosion of the Loom. He didn't want to live on a timeline.
Yep.
Like,
so
I'm less against her argument this week, because last week, because the argument she was making straight in his face was saying, no, you should be on a timeline. Well, no, he doesn't want to be. That's why I had the biggest issue, because she was saying, she was telling him what he needed to feel, where no. But this version of him, like, I understand her arguments this week, but I still say that Mobius didn't want to go back to being who he was.
Yeah. And this is where we see Sylvie refuse to help. Hey, thank you, Jaylee Beans, for shopping in. Thank you for lurking. We greatly appreciate it.
Hi.
Thank you for your raid on Tuesday. I apologize for not knowing. I didn't have any of the Twitch stuff up, but we greatly appreciate anytime you join us. And remember, right after this Marvel Talk episode, we're going to be going live about 5 minutes later with our preview of Crown Jewel from Saudi Arabia. Me and my friend Parrish will be taking Andre's spot, and we'll be talking all about that show. So make sure that you definitely stick around and check it out. But Sylvie here, not only does she refuse to help them, she's trying to make Loki understand why she's refusing to help them. And she keeps asking him the questions about, what are you doing it? Why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? And it ends up with him yelling, he wants to save the TVA. He wants his friends back.
Yeah. Again, there is a selfish point to this. I very much understand that. And it was like, he's alone. Like, if he lets everything be as it is, he's alone.
Yeah. The other great thing about this is, remember, this is the second time that we're seeing unapologetic asshole Loki from 2012. Because remember, this is still the 2012 variant of Loki that loses to the Avengers and then gets taken away. This is not the Loki that has that reunion with Thor, that goes through all those experiences, that becomes friends with his brother in Dark World, in Ragnarok, that goes through all of it in Infinity War.
Yeah.
All of those experiences he's seen but never experienced.
Yeah, this man his evolution has been the time he spent with the members of the TVA like Mobius, B-15, Casey, Brad to a small extent, and Sylvie. Those are the people that have made him this hero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We then get the two of them deciding that, enough's enough, and they can't agree, and Loki goes back and says it's over, as they're all kind of getting on board with his plan. And she goes to the record store. She wants to relax. She wants to get away from everything. And then the entire world starts turning to spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Sylvie. Can you imagine just sitting there and listening to your music?
What
and
was the
just
song?
chilling out and relaxing. I don't remember. I didn't write it down. It's not a song I've heard of. It's not a song that I remember. I'm sure it's a popular song. I just didn't get it. And we see her open a time door. And she walks out of this room shortly after this scene as everything's dissolving around her, because she now realizes that Loki's right. That all the branch timelines are falling apart, and it's up to them to fix it.
I found it. It's "Oh Sweet Nothing" by Velvet Underground.
There we go.
Yeah, just if you want to know, it's a great
Again,
song. It was great.
It's a song I've never heard of, but that's fine.
It was a weirdly beautiful scene with the music playing over it, and then you see the reactions from the guy that works at the record shop, and him running for Sylvie and yelling, and she just reacts as he spaghettis. It's a beautifully heartbreaking scene, all in one shot. It was just yeah.
And even Ashton says they're called Velvet Underground. Mm-hmm. It did remind me a lot of the Beatles, but I knew it wasn't the Beatles, so I knew it was a knockoff version of the Beatles. Which is fine, because the Beatles are great. So a knockoff version would probably be good too. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, while Sylvie goes into her time door before she appears, everyone is concerned about Loki giving up. And they're all like, but you said this is important. You said this was about life and death. You made me go away from my kids. And Sylvie comes in and says they need to do something because everything is being torn apart. Spaghettis, my sister. It's what happened. It is the best terminology I have to explain. And by the way, spaghetti is the actual, if I remember correctly, it is the actual term used in astronomy to explain what happens to something when it goes into a black hole. I believe the term is spaghettis.
Makes sense.
I'm not an astronomy major, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's the term.
You're not an astrophysicist?
I am not an astrophysicist. So everybody's going ahead, and Sylvie's like, nope, we got to do this because everything's being torn apart. And then Loki figures out that it's time to do it now, that they can all go back to the moment because they have everybody there in one place at one time. But the temp pad's gone. And then begins the end. Nope, these aren't in order. This one is first. Doc goes away first.
Well, Casey went away first.
No? Frank.
Frank, yeah.
And then?
Frank, then...
AD.
Yeah.
And then Don.
Yeah. Just heartbreaking.
And then Doc. Don, when he's doing it, he's running, talking about how he needs to get back to his kids.
Mm-hmm. It's heartbreaking, man.
And then bye-bye, Lady Loki.
Oh.
As Loki's reaching out for her, even she goes away.
And then just watching him...
Hello, Mr. Parrish.
Hi, Parrish. Watching him inside the spaghettis trying to grabbing at it and stuff, like... I was like, what is going on? Like I was just like, I was thinking it was all gonna spaghetti and cliffhanger us in like last week. Honestly, I thought that's what was gonna happen.
And then it's great because it doesn't end there. It gives us a couple more minutes where Loki time slips to just before Sylvie started to disappear.
Yeah.
And then he realizes how he can do it. And he time slips again to just after Sylvie gets there. And he says, I figured it out. I know how to control it. And the controlling it is by thinking of the who and not the when and the why and the how.
Yeah.
And it's so touching that it's about people in a place. Like Thor once said, Asgard isn't a place, it's a people.
He's just looking for his Asgard.
And that's the end of this week's episode. And this week's episode, again,
Well,
I'll say it again. It is the greatest filler episode of television I've seen ever.
And he does slip one more after he tells him that. He goes, huh, and he slips, and he's at the top of the stairs.
Yep, right before Victor Timely goes out the time doors.
So,
and that's where the episode leaves us.
And this is where he's going to start slipping. Because again, from the trailer, he's saying again, and then again.
Yeah, it's going to be Groundhog Day. He's going to continue slipping to figure out what they're doing wrong, to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And then, like, I've seen some really cool art out there that it's like official art of him that they released of him like standing. It's art done for the show. Him standing there with like all these looks like timelines coming out of him. So it's like he's gonna be in ultimate control of the TVA by the time this episode ends.
We think?
I think so. I think he's gonna be kind of. He's not going to be He Who Remains, but is pruning and having everybody prune. But he's going to be essentially the leader of the TVA, making sure that the branches all are stable and don't get out of control.
There are 2 scenes left from the mid-season trailer that they released a few weeks ago that we haven't seen yet. One of them is him and Mobius with everything spaghettifying in Time Theater 25, going back to the initial episode 1 of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also have Ravonna coming face to face with Eliath in the Void.
Yeah.
Those are 2 scenes we've already seen footage of from the trailers, so we know they're filmed. Whether or not they will appear in this next episode or not, we don't know.
And there's another scene from the trailer of him. It's when he's yelling at Timely to hit the button, and it's Timely hitting the button. So there's still that scene, which I'm pretty sure is what we're going to get.
But we don't know that it's Victor. We know that he yells to hit the button.
Somebody to hit the button. Somebody to hit the button anyways. But yeah.
But before we go, before we make any predictions about what's going to happen, Marvel released something else today. So I've decided at the last second that I'm going to go ahead and pull this up, and we are going to give you a little bit extra. We are going to have Andre's first reaction to the Echo trailer.
Oh, I haven't watched this yet.
This afternoon, they dropped that Echo will be coming out January 10th. All episodes will hit Disney Plus and Hulu at the same time.
Hulu for a limited time.
Yes, Hulu will only be available until April, but that still gives you 3 months, and all the episodes are dropping at once. So, Mr. Andre C., get ready.
We're going to do a deep dive on an entire season. Oh, we're going to play it here. I was pulling it up on my...
No, I'm going to put it right here. It's only a minute 55. We'll be fine.
Maya. I see everything that you are. I always have.
I'm going to pause it right here. I forgot to mention, Astrid, I know you've seen this, so you'll know whether or not they can watch it. This show is going to be the first Marvel show produced by Marvel Studios in the MCU timeline that is taking place as a TVMA. So
I saw that in a group chat,
the rest of this trailer. I wanted to catch it before it happened. So, Astrid, if the little kids need to close their eyes for a couple minutes, go ahead and have it.
Don't be afraid.
I'm making it bleed again. Oh.
You have so much pain in you. You. So much rage. That you can't contain it. same. So, who's the monster?
Andre,
Wow.
thoughts?
Is this a prequel or a sequel to Hawkeye?
So this is going to be both telling the story of Echo from the beginning, but also taking place at the very end of Hawkeye when she shot Wilson Fisk. When you see the patch on his eye at the end, where he's like, "Who's really the monster?"
Again, dude, that when just the fact that we're gonna get so much Fisk in this makes me so happy. Done for
By the way,
you.
I don't know if you caught it in there. There was Charlie Cox in there too.
Yeah, I saw him go diving across the table. Like,
Yeah.
dude, holy moly, holy. That looks like and I'll admit, I had absolutely zero expectation for this series after Hawkeye. Because again, it's not that I didn't like Echo. She was fine. But when I heard that they were doing a show about her, I'm like, why? And now that we're getting it, I'm like, okay, I could be down for this. And after watching that trailer, I'm like, the fact that they're doing TVMA, the fact that they're treating it a little more adult, kind of rallying closer to what the Netflix Charlie Cox Daredevil stuff was, and to create a dark and evil Wilson Fisk, I'm in. I think I might enjoy this series.
I cannot wait for more Echo Cox. She was fantastic.
Oh, she did a great job. It's just her
Native
character.
American, deaf, with an amputated leg. Like, this girl has been through the ringer in terms of not making it in this world, and this girl is killing it. And I am so excited to see her as the lead in her own series. We're getting a series led by a deaf character and by a Native American character. This is going to be fantastic. I'm super excited.
Again, I'm going to temper my expectations till I see it, because again, and we'll probably just do a full series review. We'll both watch the full series and because again, there's no point if they're all dropping in one shot. There's no point in doing an episode for each episode. It would kind of be weird at that point, because I'm going to binge it all in one day, most likely.
Andre, where can the good people find you this week?
You can find me on Facebook at Andre Melba Wrestling Talk, Instagram, Threads, and other stuff at and Blue Sky at that Canada dude, that Canada guy on Twitter and other stuff. You can find me on all of those. I gotta give you my actual setup for my stream on my when I do my show. It has everything I'm actually on.
You can also catch him and our wonderful friend Mel at youtube.com/Andre and Mel Ball Wrestling Talk, as they go ahead and they recently reviewed their time at LPW, the Halloween episode. They do their Chop Talk whenever they go to local episodes. But more importantly, they're going to be covering the Stardom Tag League and the Juniors Tag League, I believe.
Yeah, as we stream this, the finals are tomorrow morning. We've only gotten recorded up to episode 3. We'll be dropping we're doing recording for nights 4, 5, and 6 tomorrow. Hopefully within a couple days we'll be doing night 7, 8, 9, and then do Power Struggle within a couple days of that. We're gonna have a review for Lone Star Shootout, which is on the 10th. What? So much hate? Why?
I don't know. She's not happy with you.
My brain is not working. I have barely slept in the last 36 hours, Mel. So I was literally talking to you at 1:30 a.m. I was texting with you. You know I barely slept last night. Come on.
If you want to talk to Mel Ball, the one who knows what's going on in this group, you can find her socials right here at Collins Mel Ball on Twitter and at Mel Ball Collins on Instagram. She's fantastic. We love her as well.
No, I didn't wake up. You messaged me at 12:58. I missed you back like 4 minutes later. So I did not wake you up.
Andre, we gotta stop waking women up at the end of the tail end of the night. But you can find me on X at edfries12584. You can find all of my gaming content and all of my simulcasts of all my content here at edfries2002. You can catch me tonight, right after this. It's going to be less than 5-minute break between now and then. As soon as this episode ends, Parrish is going to get the pre-show loading ready to go. We're going to be previewing Crown Jewel, which takes place tomorrow, which you can catch the wonderful Asher Pizarro and Jose Gonzalez as they go ahead and recap. And maybe you run in from Chris Parrish after his watch-along of Crown Jewel tomorrow. You can go ahead and catch all that at our local establishment. And you can catch Chris Parrish's watch-along at twitch.tv/thechrisparish. But you can catch me again next Tuesday night as me and Astra talk about all things NXT. Next Wednesday night when me and Parrish go one-on-one again in the next 4 weeks of Season 3 of my GM mode on WWE 2K23 and Wrestle Draft. And then next weekend is the big weekend. We're going to have 2 episodes dropping. One of them may be pre-recorded depending on time and availability. We'll be reviewing the final episode of Loki, which airs the same night that I'm going to watch the Marvels.
Me too.
Yes, but I will have technically be able to watch the Loki episode on time because my movie of the Marvel starts at 6:30. So I will be able to watch Loki on time at 9 p.m.
Yeah, Loki comes out at 7 for me because I am in Alberta, and I'm at my movie at 7:40. So I don't get off work until 6:45. So if I can get to the theater fast enough, I can start Loki while standing in line and watch 40 minutes of it before my movie starts. It's always
I don't know
possible.
if I'd want to watch the first 40 minutes of a 56-minute episode. That by the way, that runtime is supposedly 56 minutes for the finale.
And I can watch through the commercials and trailers before the movie.
Anyways, we're going to jump out of here because I've got more to do. This is Andre C. I've been OLED Ed Fries. Thank you for joining us. And like I said, we'll be back with me and Parrish in just a few minutes. Stay tuned. We'll see you then. Bye.